We're back with Billy, and Billy's got his signature banjo. You know what that song was? That's the Ballad of Jed Clampett right there.
This old banjo, back sometime in the mid-50s, Irene, she bought it at Sears for my birthday. It's a silver tone. And I didn't figure I could ever do anything with it, so I laid it up for about 10 years, and I got it out, and I can do some with it, and it's good for gospel tunes and stuff like that. And I know one time she was working with a woman. This woman told her that she bought her a banjo, and I already asked her what kind it was. She said it was a Gibson. And she said, what kind did you get, Billy? She said a silver tone. So she told me when she got home, she said, she must have thought I bought you a toy. You know, but we do a lot of these Don Reno Red Smiley tunes, and one of them that was my favorite is called Using My Bible for a Road Map.
Now it's very difficult, I would think, to pick a banjo and sing at the same time. Now, that takes some real coordination.
Well, the only problem I have, and you probably noticed it, is Wade Maynor. He's the old...
I know Wade. I know who you're talking.
You probably saw his interview on...
public television.
Yeah.
David Holt had it.
David Holt had it.
Yeah.
Now, he was a two-finger picker.
Right.
And I find myself doing that too.
Yeah.
And but still, if you work it right and fast enough, you can make it almost sound like three.
Yeah.
But he was.
But I bet nobody teaches the two-finger method. That's something you taught yourself, and the way you heard it and taught yourself. And I don't know of anybody. I wouldn't think it's all would be either claw hammer style or three-finger roll.
Right.
is what music teachers would have. So you're doing something that's truly an old time way of playing that banjo.
I never did try clawhammer because I never did like it.
Mm-hmm.
I always liked the three-finger style like Earl Scruggs. And nothing wrong with the clawhammer at all.
Right.
Ralph Stanley, he's good on that. The Carter brothers, Stanley brothers, Carter and Ralph, they was a good group. They didn't come around these parts too much. They was back up in the upper part of Virginia, northern part of Virginia, and they didn't play the Stokes County like the Monroes and Flat Scruggs and them did.
Now you said you saw Flat and Scruggs come through here. Now they traveled a special way, didn't they?
Yeah, Flat and Scruggs. First time I remember seeing them, I heard them on the radio. First time I remember seeing them was over King at a little old restaurant called the Tiny Dining. And I knew they was coming to the King Drive-In Theater. So I was over there pretty early. And I think the show started about 7. And about 5 o'clock I was at the Tiny Dining. Somebody told me they was going to eat there, you know. Mm-hmm. So I got in there and pretty early, got me a good seat and ordered me a hamburger. And, so along about 5:30, I guess it was, they all came through the front door. And they had those big Stetson hats on and everything, you know. They
had them ties tied right? Yeah.
Man, I was excited, you know. I was about 18 years old. I was just beginning to play good myself, you know, pick it up. And so they went back in the dining room, and I must have eaten another hamburger, probably 2 or 3, you know, waiting for them to come out. And it was about an hour, I guess, they came out. They got in this little, I guess it looks what you call now is a stretch limo. Theirs was almost a stretch limo, and they had the big old doghouse base tied on to the top, you know. Mm. I think it had about 3 seats in it, and they all piled in that thing. They went on down to the King Drive-In, which is about a 1/4 mile down the road. And I took off right behind them, you know. I went on through the drive-in, got me a parking place, and got my speaker. And I came back out, and they put on the show then up on top of the projection building in about the center of the drive-in, and so they really put on some kind of show. They had to put on 2 shows. I don't know why they put on 2 shows, because they wasn't in a closed-in building, but they put on 2 shows. They one at 7, and I think another one at 9. But out in the open air like that, that really sounded good.
So Stokes County was a real happening place for bluegrass back in those days.
It was. We would seem like if we didn't have any money much for anything else, we had some for the shows coming around. You know? And what was so interesting, Todd, back then, they would all, every place had a stage, you know. And, I can remember in particular Danbury School, they would, they had the stage, had the curtain closed. Okay, you could hear them back there. They'd be rehearsing with that closed, you know. And then they'd start playing their theme songs, and they'd start opening the curtain right slow, you know.
Yeah.
And they'd all be in line and all in place. And that would bring back good memories. There was, well, in fact, back then, there wasn't anything like George Jones, Buck Owens, or anything like that. It was mostly just bluegrass. And I think back then, they probably called it country.
Right.
And then Bill Monroe, he comes along, and he gave it the name bluegrass. And they gave him the follow bluegrass title.
I guess he really took country music and the instruments that were being used for it, and just he sort of put them on steroids. He turned them up a notch, and everything was a quick pace with it. And they showcased each other, you know, that way.
Yeah, and now they most fellows now, these younger fellows, they do a little bit different bluegrass than what Flat Scruggs, Bill Monroe and them did. It's still good.
Oh yeah.
It's still bluegrass, but it's a little different. And I find myself going back to the old style.
The old style, yeah.
It's whatever you get accustomed to, you know.
Right.
It's what you're going to stick with.
Right.
But it's really enjoyable to be able to pick up a musical instrument and just do anything with it. If you can get a tune out of it, that's really enjoyable.
Well, it's something, you know, you can play baseball or any other kind of ball, basketball, and you can do that for a little while you're young, but you pick that musical instrument up, you got that for life, don't you?
Right, as
long as you got your wits about you.
Right, as long as you can pick it up and carry it to where you're going and, and work your fingers and all that.
Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and sign out for this segment right here. It's a pleasure to be with you here with the banjo, Billy. Thank you.
Quite welcome.